stage.
So before I start reading it, I want to just give a little bit of a content warning. It's a zombie apocalypse, so there's guns, and there's also substance abuse in some sections. Just wanted to give that a heads up before we start. After the previous night of chain smoking and drinking, I didn't want to leave my bed. It was warm underneath my blankets and it wrapped me up all nice and cozy. There was just something that my brain lingered on a little longer that morning that kept me there. When I eventually rolled out of bed, I looked into the mirror that sat on top of the desk next to it. My blonde hair was a mess and my eyes felt so heavy. The blanket on the bed was still wrapped around me and I could smell candles burning from the other room. Uncle Travis must have passed out after lighting it again. It was awfully dangerous, but I just didn't have the heart to tell him to stop lighting Aunt Carly's old candles. This one filled the air with lavender. As I entered the next room, I found the candle on the kitchen counter. On the couch in front of an empty fireplace, Uncle Travis was still asleep. He had a few bottles of alcohol lying around, some empty, some half full, but ever since Aunt Carly passed, I don't think I've ever seen an unopened bottle of alcohol in the house. Part of me wanted to nag at him about it like a little kid, but another part of me understood. Not only did his entire life revolve around killing and looting, but he lost Aunt Carly. Even after years of scavenging, she always found a way to be upbeat and caring. Not to say that Uncle Travis is uncaring, it was just different. She was motherly. Part of me hopes to grow up to be like her. I blew out the candle and hovered over my uncle. I kicked the couch beneath him. No response. I kicked it again, harder this time, jolting him awake. In his confusion, he raised his fists, but quickly collected himself. "Oh shit, is it morning already?" Uncle Travis said, his confusion turning to his usual sarcastic self. "You weren't here when I got back last night. When did you get to sleep?" I asked, genuinely curious. To be honest, I don't remember much after Larry's. "Regardless of you having a hangover or not, we have work to do." "That we do," Uncle Travis said, standing up from the couch. I could hear his joints pop as he stretched, unwrapping myself from the blanket as I entered my room. I opened my closet to find my outfit for the day. It's not like it was fun, like my days as a kid playing dress-up at Sarah's. No, I had to grab my most practical gear. I pulled on a black V-neck t-shirt from the closet, but I found my jeans that were lying on the floor and pulled them on as well. They were still clean, I think. I laced up my boots, put on my father's jacket, and entered the bathroom for a hair tie. I pulled my hair up into a ponytail, looking into the mirror. My blue eyes were from my dad, I've been told, but the blonde hair is from my mom. I like that I have the best of both of their features on me. Feels like I'm carrying both of their legacies with me. "You look beautiful, Hope. You don't need to worry about makeup," Uncle Travis said. "That's not..." "Shut up." Uncle Travis laughed and gave me the stupid shit-eating grin he always gave me. I couldn't help but laugh with him. "Let's grab some grub before we head out," Uncle Travis said. "Don't forget the cigars I mentioned." "Oh shit, you're right. By the way, I know the perfect spot to smoke these, so we'll be heading up north of the city today," Travis said. "Works for me," I yawned. On the way to the front gates, we grabbed some burritos, 2 breakfasts and 2 regulars from Marcello's. As we got in the truck, we waved at Cassandra, the patrol guard in charge of the gate in the mornings. She led us through, and before us was a sun that was just beginning to rise. Travis drove for a while, minimal conversation as we ate our breakfasts. He didn't normally start chatting to his normal extent until noon anyway. It was too early and neither of us really wanted to speak, other than the occasional "it's getting chilly" comment as he turned on the truck's heating. Nothing to be spoken. Nothing needed to be spoken. We arrived at our first location, a grocery store that had been long boarded up at 8:45 a.m. Best case scenario, it was an abandoned, empty shelter. Worst case, there'd be demons waiting inside. Either way, we had to be prepared. I finished my coffee before we stepped out of the truck. "Let's do this shit," I said, swallowing the last of it. "Oh, language," Travis commented. "And you're better?" "I've never fucking cursed in my goddamn life," he said, shaking his head. It got a chuckle out of me and we went up to the boarded doors. Travis easily pried them off with his bare hands. The nails had obviously rusted and were only hanging by a thread. "Back in the day, your father and I always dared each other to go inside, but neither of us did. Seemed too risky. But seeing as it's been at least 20 years since then, I figured what the hell." Uncle Travis explained, "Get your gun out and cover me," as I opened the door. I did as I was told and pulled out my 9mm. Travis pulled out his revolver. I took count of the ammo left in my magazine. 6. 6 whole bullets. I guess that I would just have to make each shot count if it had to be used at all, of course. Travis busted the door in with his weight, and on the other side was nothing. "Stay vigilant," he said. "As always," I responded. Keeping my gun raised with my finger off of the trigger, I examined the dark opening of the store. I saw a sign that simply read, "Welcome to Smiley's." Next to that were rows of empty produce, but the few left were all rotten. Not that we needed produce, we got it fresh from the farmers. We had to look for non-perishable items, stuff that could be stored, and of course, if any sort of medical supplies could be found untouched. Autumn told me that the pharmacist has taken to throwing out open bottles, even if pills were still inside. It was too big of a gamble to give out. When I told Uncle Travis, he in turn stopped grabbing every little bottle without checking if it's been opened or not. We searched each aisle, grabbing what we could, leaving what we didn't need. The entire place was quiet and dark except for the light spilling in from the ceiling windows. We made it through without problems, collecting 2 whole unopened bottles of ibuprofen. We moved on to our next location, an abandoned pharmacy. "That window up top is open. I'll boost you up and you unlock the door," Uncle Travis said. I jumped and pulled myself into the window and hopped down. As I was turning around to open the door, a quick motion knocked down some cans. "Shit," I said, aiming my gun toward the motion. Definitely a demon. I moved my gun with my eyes, my finger now on the trigger. I looked for movement, any movement. It happened, pushing over a shelf, the product spilling onto the ground and the demon lunging at me. I pulled the trigger, the loud bang shrieked, my ears ringing from the shot. The demon fell to the ground, silent. That was too easy. It's definitely not dead. It's not dead. The hunched over demon stared up at me, giving me a look at the flesh peeling from its face. Its left eye was lower than its right, and I saw blood, what looked like fresh blood. I pulled the trigger again and it slumped down. The bullet shot clean through its head. I stood there stunned and shaken. Behind me I hear my uncle's voice. "Hope," he said, repeating a few times. I'm okay, I'll get the door." I unlocked the door and let Uncle Travis walk in. "Oh shit, this one's newly turned." "It's a bad sign," I comment. "Keep your eyes out for any others." Wouldn't that gunshot have brought them to me if there were any? "Some demons are tricky," Uncle Travis said. "Right, the ones that sneak around in the shadows." We made our way through the store, aisle by aisle, but no demons showed. In total, we received a bottle of painkillers and a box of 3 bandages, but Uncle Travis found something extra. "Hello," he said to himself. It was an unopened, still sealed bottle of wine. "Looks like it's a 40-year-old bottle of wine," I said, reading the label that had already aged by 10 years before finding itself in the pharmacy. "Oh, that'll go great with our cigars." We left. The rest of our route wasn't exciting at all. We found nothing in the next few buildings, but luckily it was nearing lunchtime. Travis said that once we finished eating, we'd open the bottle of wine and smoke the cigars together. When we arrived at what used to be a park, it was now overrun by nature, but thankfully no demons. We parked up in front of the lake and Travis got out, hopping onto the hood of the truck. I followed suit. The burrito was good, of course. Of course it was cold though. I didn't mind much though, since it was still good. We each took swigs from our canteens throughout the meal. Then he laid back and took the cigars out of his pocket. Uncle Travis hands me one of them. "Remember, don't inhale." "I know, dude. You told me the first time we smoked together." "Reminders don't hurt," Uncle Travis said, smiling. I lit my cigar, puffing on it. I handed the lighter to Uncle Travis and he did the same. We puffed great clouds of smoke, letting it permeate throughout the air. Travis opened the bottle and took a long swig of it. "Damn, that's fucking good." I take a much shorter swig of the wine, tasting the bitterness first before it gave way to that sweet sensation of grape juice that even grape juice couldn't achieve. "Wow," I say before taking another swig. I passed the bottle to Uncle Travis. We sat there, taking in the fall weather and puffing on our big cigars, occasionally taking sips of the wine. It was a perfect afternoon, only slightly breezy. It was almost as if the weather couldn't be more comfortable. Without any planes in the sky, it felt freeing. No noise pollution, no air pollution. It was exactly like the world was meant to be, except for the absence of humans. It felt empty, only fulfilling one end of nature's need. The clearness and stillness didn't bode well for survivors.